So for the entrepreneurship group today, we'll be looking at BG5, particularly looking at gaps and doing a little bit of gap analysis and just seeing what we can discover from where the gaps are, and maybe looking at some body graphs of attendees. I know you have three channels now, and I have only one, but yeah. So this you can ignore the activations here. This was just a graphic from. Actually, let's see if I can make it a little smaller. This was just a graphic from Raw, and he was showing for somebody who had only design activations, and so they had a design gate 5 line 1 and gate 2 line 6 and so on. So that's why he kind of has these red lines there. But if you ignore those, this is basically the BG5 keynoting. And there's two ways to do gap analysis. The first is to look at what gates are missing, and then the second is to look at what lines are missing. And there's a couple nuances right off the bat. One is that the lines, having the actual lines, is kind of more important for the upper gates, these upper 6 gates, 31.7, 8.1, 33.13. Those are the ones where the person who has the line kind of has to be in that role. So this is one little crucial but often overlooked point of BG5. We contribute to the penta, but by and large, it doesn't matter if we actually have the role that we're contributing. But for the upper gates, it actually does matter. So for these gates, it actually is important. So if you have, a 6th line in gate 31, like this person has, they actually are meant to have the actual role of leadership. 6th line keynote is leadership. Whereas if you had a 6th line in the lower gates, the gates between the sacral and the G center, you would just be contributing that to the totality of the penta. Somebody else could kind of piggyback off of your contribution there. And hi, Nancy, thanks for joining. So we're going to be doing BG5 today, and we're going to be looking at BG5 gap analysis. So yeah, let's see what. Let me think of a good way to do this. We could just look at our individual body graphs and see what we bring, or we can look at teams if we have any. But I don't know. I didn't really prepare like a team to look at yet. We could look at me and Richard, but unfortunately there's only 2 of us anyway. It kind of needs to be 3 or more to really be looking at it as a team. So I think it's better if we just look at what we bring to the penta. And also, just as a quick little fun test, who knows what BG5 stands for and why it was named? Base group 5, and it has to do with base. And the idea is that the ultimate penta of 5 people would be one of each base. So you'd have somebody of base 1, somebody base 2. So it would actually be engineered from the ground up so that each member represents one of the 5 bases. That is sort of the ultimate engineering of a group. And the whole idea of BG5 is that you can engineer the team and you can see where the gaps are. Gap analysis is such a big thing, so that if you had a 3-person team or a 4-person team, you could see who you would need to add to that penta to fill in those gaps. Or if it's a 5-person team, who needs to be replaced, because sadly, this is about the engineering of the penta. This is not OC16. We're not looking at the WA. This is the engineering of the core team. And it's really an interesting idea. I don't think anyone's ever really done it, but if you were to engineer the team in such a way, theoretically, that would be competitive against other pentas, you would, in theory, find a lot of success. So it's a really interesting question. So, okay, who can we look at first? Now, would you be interested in can we look at your body graph? Would that be okay, or?
That would be great.
Great. So do we have it handy? Let me see if I have it yet in my. I actually don't seem to have it in my Google Drive. No, I do. Here it is. Yes, Name put it together. Perfect. For HDHD. So let me go ahead and share. And oh, this. Wait a minute here. She must have done something. Now this is not right. I'm gonna have to tell her that she must have the wrong birth info. Okay, could you share it? Is it possible for you to share your screen?
Give me 1 sec. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, and I can grant you permission.
All right, I have several versions of my chart, and let me just find the joke.
Yeah, whichever one you'd like. Really, just so we can see the gates and lines are fine. What is, or actually, let me just check here. I'm going to go ahead and fix the one that she
Okay, I don't
has.
have I don't have permission to share anyway.
Oh, yeah, it
It'll
should.
probably be easier for you to just fix the information, then pull it up yourself.
Okay, well, would you private message me what that information is then? Just so I don't have to do it on here. Yeah, and usually it lets you ask. I don't know why it's. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. Just a moment. Yep, Boston like me. Perfect. Let me just go ahead and I'm adding a new one. I've been using this HD Cafe. I really enjoy it. So that will give me a chance to do it. Okay, Boston. Okay, I think you sent me. Great. Just a moment here. June 22nd. That's right. Great. Okay, just 1 minute here. Oh, well, that's a little glitch. When I entered the name, it just cleared all of my entries. So that's not. So they're still working on it. They have a couple bugs. But yeah, I've been using the hd.cafe website. It's a really good website. It's actually made by this guy, Misha, who I think will be attending the conference. And he's just done a fantastic job. He's a UX designer, so he really brings a lot of visual presentation to everything, and it's just much nicer. It's one of my favorites. Okay, and it seems like it worked. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. It is working. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right, does that look right? 4-6. Yeah, some of the substructure there, desire, motivation, base 2, all that. Okay, perfect. So we see that you have 7 activations in BG5. That's really the 7 activations are between the sacral and the throat through the G center. So you have the whole 3 channels, the 3 tantric channels, and then you also have gate 31. And so let's just see what you're really bringing to any group that you're a part of, any business team. So you're bringing culture. Everything you're a part of, you bring culture to. That's gate 5. What it means to not have culture as a business team is kind of no traditions, no consistency, no fixed rhythms, no casual Fridays, no like to bring culture is kind of like actually bringing a really vibrant, fun part of bringing tradition, really, of a company. So when I was at Amazon, people sometimes complain of Amazon not having culture, but actually we had a lot of culture. We had a thing called Glamazon, which was the gay and lesbian Amazon group, and their allies, and so they had their own bar, and we would have Glamazon dance nights and things like that. That's all culture. That's all Gate 5, having the fixed rhythms of the tradition, and really bringing. I guess ultimately this is part of reliability, or sorry, 15 is reliability, and so when you have 5 and 15 together, this is the flow. So the flow of the company is that it's reliable and it has culture. So you also have 15, so you make sure that anything you're a part of is very reliable. You can depend on it. It's if it says they're open, they're there. They're open. They're not you're not just showing up and it's unreliable. making commitments it can't keep and things like that. And this is really the flow. The flow is from the culture to the reliability. And together you have a reliable culture, and you also have a culture that encourages following through on things. And so that 515, that's an important thing to bring. I mean, it's very important. The 5, let's see what you have for gate 5. You have line 4 and you have line 1. So you're bringing 1 and 4 there. So the keynotes we have for 1 and 4, 1 is the detail and 4 is the networking. So 1 is detail and fundamentals, 4 is networking and clients. Let me just go back to just a second here. So let's see, and this is for 5, so for the culture. Yeah, it's the detail and the networking. It's interesting. So what Ross says about the different line placements is kind of that certain lines are better in certain gates than others. For instance, you don't really need line 4 in the culture. It's not a bad thing to have, but if you have line 4 in the culture, then part of your culture will be having a lot of clients around, having a lot of customers around, giving tours to the customers, sort of having them underfoot in some sense. If you have an office where you're all doing the work, you're probably going to have a lot of the customers of that service coming into the office. So Ra was kind of joking that it's like, where is your networking? Where are your clients? In your case, let's look at 2 and 14. You also have line 4 in gate 2. I'm just looking for any of the fourth lines. In 14, let's see, that's line 1. So far, just 1s and 4s. 29, you have line 6. 46, you have line 6. So 1s, 4s, and 6s. And then 31, line 6. So you're bringing 1s, 4s, and 6s to any team you're a part of. So already you're making sure that any team you're a part of, the detail and the fundamentals are strong. You're making sure that there is networking and there are clients, that you actually get customers. And you're making sure that there's vision and leadership. That's a big part of the 6th line. However, you're not doing the marketing, you're not bringing the determination, and you're not bringing the potential and the ability to gather the talent. So first thing you're going to look for is when you partner with people, you're going to want to partner with people that have 2nd lines, 3rd lines, and 5th lines. It's not that you need every line in every gate. The line in the gate is basically interpreted as where that activity occurs. So let's just start with your first line. Your first line is detail, or it has a keynote of detail. You have that in 14. And you have that in, was it 5? So you bring detail to the capacity, to basically gate 14 is the capacity, and it's all about the capacity to make money materially. It's very material. The 214 is the single most important channel in the whole Penta. So bringing detail there, bringing a strong foundation there, you make sure that the fundamentals of the business are strong and that the business has the capacity to make money. It's able to handle profiting, and it's able to handle things. And that's a really good place to have line 1 there. It's not that that's where your marketing is. You're not marketing what capacity you have, or it's what you're actually making sure the business has, that, making sure it has those fundamentals. And then in line 5 in the culture, you're making sure that that culture has the fundamentals it needs to thrive as well, that the people who are involved in the company feel really good about it because there's something really reliable in that flow from the 5 to the 15. I guess 15 is technically the reliability, but it's still part of that same channel. And so culture and capacity have your first lines. Now, 2nd lines, if you don't have any 2nd lines with one of your business partners, it's going to be very hard to keep the talent. It's going to be hard to keep the really good employees. And this has to do with the potential for the business. The business will be stunted in its potential for growth and in its potential to get the right talent. And then you start looking at, okay, if you're bringing these gates, where might you look for somebody with line 2? Where could you fill a gap with someone who has line 2? And what would be a good place to bring in the talent and to maximize that potential? It could be, for instance, you could bring in talent, somebody who has gate 8 line 2. That would be talent in public relations, and you would bring in a lot of talented people and have a lot of potential to meet the public there and just to demonstrate what you have to the public. Or you could bring in line 2, and the accounting, for instance. You'd have a lot of talent of people that are able, that would be gate 13. That would be people who really understand the history of the company and bring in a lot of talent there. Now, one thing you will find is that lines 1 through 3 tend to be most comfortable in the lower gates, and lines 4, 5, and 6 tend to be more comfortable in the upper gates, but it's not necessary. But you can see that there is a sort of natural affinity between the upper trigram and gates 7, 31, 1, 8, 13, 33, lower trigram, and 5, 15, 14, 2, 29, 46. Okay, so yeah, you're going to want to, if you're building this team, to find people that have second lines, because they will really help the potential of that company to grow. You're also going to want to find third lines who bring a lot of determination. When you don't have that determination, it can really be a lack or loss of capital. So that's one of the keynotes there for not having the third line in these 12 crucial gates. So where might you want to have the determination? That could be a gate 7, for instance, gate 7, line 3. They bring a lot of determination to planning and to the future. Or gate 33, oversight. They bring a lot of determination to making sure things get done, making sure tasks are completed, and they would really be able to maintain that determination. You have line 4, networking. So you have gate 5, line 4, and then you also have, where else did we see it? We saw gate 2, line 4. So 5 and 2, those are the places where we saw that. And that is basically being able to network and meet clients around your vision, gate 2. Well, you absolutely do that. You're already meeting with people around the vision of the company. Where is your company going? What is the future of your company? Where is it headed? That's a big part of how you're meeting clients, is around that vision, and how you're networking is around that shared vision, enlisting people that have that vision with you. And then culture as well. So that's what I was saying, is bringing the clients into your culture. The clients are part of your culture, and so on. Marketing, where's the marketing? You don't have any line 5s here, so meeting somebody with line 5, it's going to be very important to maintain reputation of the company. Line 5 is the marketing and spreading a good reputation. Gate 8, line 5 would be awesome. Gate 8, line 5 would be public relations and marketing. It goes very well together. Gate 33, the oversight. That's very good for ensuring that you have a good reputation, because you'd have people on the team that are really making sure that the oversight of the company is something marketable or something appealing to others that maintains a good reputation. It's basically, where is your reputation? What do you have a reputation for? If you had it in gate 14, line 5, you just have a reputation for being able to handle a lot, having a lot of money, having a lot of backup reserves, something like that. That's the reputation. But if it's in 33, which is oversight, then it becomes, you have a reputation for being accountable and having high ethical standards as a company and things like that. So yeah, it's really, where do you want each of these things? I'm going to go ahead and paste in the primary keynotes into the chat here. And so these are the primary sort of keynotes for the lines. And so what you're bringing to the company is detail, networking, and leadership. You have a strong detail, networking, leadership. And then let me go back to your body graph here. Let's see where you bring that leadership. So 31, line 6. Anything in the upper trigram, you kind of need to be in that position. So gate 31, line 6, it makes sense that you would be the leader, and that the kind of leader you are, I mean, this is very much classic leadership. It's the administration of the whole company. You're bringing leadership to the administration of a company. 731 is all about the future of the company. It's kind of like the alpha channel that we look at in the normal body graph. I mean, it's obviously the same gates. And the alpha is the logical leader. So it's really about planning, gate 7, and administration, gate 31. How can you take this company into the future? And as a leader, gate 31, line 6, you kind of need to have that role. It's something that you're bringing to the company as yourself, compared to when they're in the lower channels, you're sharing that with others. So when you bring 515, 14.2, 29.46, you're bringing a lot of commitment to the company. You're bringing a lot of capacity for the Penta to be able to handle a lot of things. You're bringing the culture. You're not necessarily the one who has to have that position. You're not the one who has to do that. It's shared. It's shared with the other team members. They can do it. But when we're talking about the upper trigram, it's better, not always, but it's better if the person who has that activation is the one in that role. And that's just one of the nuances of Penta there, that the upper trigram, the upper gates, which also do associate to the upper trigram, but the upper gates are very much about the person who has that activation is in that job. So the person who has gate 33 tends to be the one on the oversight committee. The person who has gate 8 tends to be the PR person, things like that. So you would tend to be the actual administrator and bring a lot of leadership to that role as an administrator. Let's see what else we can say. Okay, so yeah, I'm just referring to some of the keynotes here. So yeah, you bring leadership. You have 31 line 6. There was another sixth line also. Where's the other sixth line? 29 line 6. You bring leadership and commitment. So part of that is, I guess we could say leadership and commitment is that you bring a lot of trust. You bring trust to people that you are committed to the company, that you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to keep showing up. That you're actually in it for the long haul. You inspire trust in them. That's what leadership really does. It makes people trust you. So having that leadership potential in two places really shows that you're bringing trust in the commitment to follow through, and you're bringing trust in your ability to administrate that, to be a good administrator. So yeah, so you're bringing a lot. You're bringing a lot more than most people do. I mean, there's around a 1 in 3 chance of any gate being activated, so you have more than the usual amount of gates. Most people are going to have approximately 3 to 4 pentagates. That's the average. It's around 30% chance of having a gate activated. So I think slightly more than 3, pretty much 4 gates is the average. And for you to have 7 gates, and to actually have 1 or 2, I guess one of them even double activated. So you have 8 activations in the Penta matrix here is very cool. It's definitely rare. It's about twice as many activations as we would expect. And yeah, you bring a lot to any team that you're a part of. So that's about how I would kind of do the basic gap analysis. I would just look at where are the gaps. Those are the kind of people you're going to want to team up with. What do you bring to a Penta? And then if you're going to engineer that Penta from the ground up, you get to kind of think about where do we want this line to be? Where do we want that line to be? What we're really looking for is, if you want marketing, well, you probably want gate 8, line 5, because that's a great place for marketing to be. Or a gate 33, line 5, another great place for marketing to be. You don't need marketing as much in the administration. You don't need to market what a well-administrated company you are. Although that can help, but you already have the leadership and the trust there. So you're kind of already fulfilling that transpersonal role in gate 31. So yeah, any comments, or would anyone else like to look at their body graph? Otherwise, we can talk a little more about some of the details here. I can maybe read a few excerpts from Ra as well.
Yeah, I just have a question about the lines in the upper penta. How would you understand, or how would you work with a compromise just in the upper penta in terms of roles or in terms of lines? Because those are they're not shared like they are in the lower penta, right?
Yeah, they're not as shared, right? So you're saying compromise, like 2 people have the same gate, or
Same gate, same channel, but not necessarily the same line.
yeah, like how do you exactly? That's a good question. Like how do you fulfill that role? Well, I think what it really is saying is that if you have different lines in the same gate, you have different pieces of that puzzle. So for instance, you have line 6 in gate 31. Say you say you do have a line 5 and a line 4 there. What you're bringing is the trust in the company's ability to be an administrator, and it's very good for you to be in an administrative capacity. But then you have a marketing person who also has that administrative capacity. They're also bringing with them the ability to kind of keep track of things and make sure things get done in the day to day. It's a good question of how do you divide the labor with them if what you're doing is the leadership of the admin and they're doing the marketing of the admin. And then you also have somebody who's doing networking through the administration. And that's an interesting thing. Like the line 4, what is networking through administration? I guess it would be networking through bringing clients into the administration of the business in some capacity. So it's making sure that, the day-to-day tasks that help the company move forward are also incorporating the clients. I could see it be kind of annoying. Like you might want to just take charge as the leader and inspire trust and just say, trust me, I can handle this myself. And then the person bringing in the networking has all these clients helping out excuse me. I mean, it's definitely, excuse me about that. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting issue where, I don't think it'll usually be much of a problem, but it does raise the question of who is the real administrator then? Like, are you the administrator because you have the 6th line, so that just kind of trumps the other lines, like a high score or high hand or something? Or are you all administrators? Do you have an administrative team? And the admin team all divides and conquers different parts of it. And also just what about redundancy? Say that there are 2 other people in the team and they both also have gate 31 line 6. Are all of you then the leaders of the team? Or is it that you do divide and conquer and you let one of you be the leader of the administration? I mean, these are good questions, but I think the picture that we're mainly painting is just every business has these components, and what we're really trying to look at is where these components lie in your business. So every business to work needs to have trust. People need to trust it. What do they trust particularly about your business? Well, they trust the administration of it, and they trust the commitment, right? Because then you have gate 29, line 6. So they trust that you're really committed to it, but they might not trust the vision. So then you bring in somebody with line 6 and gate 2, the vision, and then suddenly there's a lot more leadership at the level of the vision of it, and people have a lot more trust there. So it's kind of just like saying, where's the trust going to be? And as long as you have at least one 6th line in your penta, there'll be trust somewhere. Like all it takes is one. And so in some sense, it's almost like it's less of a conflict when there's multiple people with the same gate activation bringing different things to that. It's more of a conflict when you're missing something, when it's a gap. So I think in our example of gate 31 and you have 2 other people in the business, one with line 4, one with line 5, it's not really that you're stepping on each other's toes. It's that you can help sell the business and market it by showing how well run it is, that the administrators are really on the ball. You can inspire a lot of trust in it through your leadership, and you can also network and meet clients somehow through administration. I mean, I don't exactly know how you meet new clients through the administration of the business, but maybe they have some role in it. So yeah, that's really what it's doing, is trying to paint a picture of where each of these 6 aspects of the business will be. We know the clients are going to be somewhere. In your case, because they're in the culture, that means they're coming to the company parties, something like that, right? And for somebody else who has them in the accounting, they're going to be getting clients through the accounting of the company somehow, which is kind of an unusual place to get it, right? There's kind of weird ones. Like, what does a business look like where you're networking through accounting? Is it that you have promotional emails or contact to help? I mean, I don't know, actually. Like, what the accounting of the business to me seems like a very simple making sure that the past is accounted for. Maybe it's networking through telling stories of the past and networking through sharing photos from previous years and things. Like at High Desert Human Design, for instance, we have tons of photos from previous years. I don't really network through that way. I don't really market that way. I'm not marketing or networking through the photos, but I could be if we had a 1333 who had lines 4 and lines 5 in that channel, they would be taking past year photos and sending them out in email blasts and using that to network and market the event in a way that I'm not. I'm just like, here's some cool photos. So it's kind of just like, where do those activities take place? Where's the determination of the business? Where's the potential of the business? Where's the networking of the business? But it's a great question, and these are like very much open questions for me. I don't claim to have all the answers to them. It's really something that, to me, these are tools that we can use to paint a picture. And that picture is kind of interesting juxtapositions of the keynotes. Like, where is the marketing? Where's the marketing going to be? How does the business market? Do you market how committed you are? That would be gate 29, line 5. Do you market what an amazing vision you have for the business? Do you market what great plans you have for the future? Do you market how reliable you are as a business? Things like that. Well, Liz, can we, do you want to PM me your details? Or maybe I might already have it somewhere. I don't know if I do.
I know they're on the signpost website.
Okay, I can
Uh,
grab that. Yeah, is it just in the shared folder? Oh, no, on the website. I see it for the, if I sign in.
yeah,
Okay,
or
great.
I could send it right
No, this is great. I have it right here. Elizabeth Falp, generator 24. That's you? We're all good?
That's it.
I mean, I'm just making sure that I know it's you, but I'm just making sure that the 24 generator is correct and everything because I'm still working on the app there. Okay, so let's take a look. Let me see. There we go. And yeah, I really want to enlist Misha's help on the Signpost website because he's such a great graphic designer. Highly recommend HD Cafe, by the way. That's what we were looking at when we looked at Now's Body Graph. Very cool website, totally free, completely free, and has just a lot of good info. But all right, I'll jump back over. Okay, so this looks right. Everything good, Liz? Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what you have here. Let's just start with the 29 and 29 line 1. 29 line 1, which is 29 is the gate of commitment, and line 1 is all about details and fundamentals. So you're bringing the fundamentals of commitment. What do you need for the fundamental? I mean, what are the fundamentals of commitment? I guess something to commit to, basic agreements, basic, like, I also have this. And so when I'm in a penta, I just bring showing up. So that's a big part of it. It's like you're somebody who, if you really are committed to a company, you show up. You don't take a lot of sick days. You don't, run off and hide or be late or be different things. You're like there. So just being there is so powerful. Like if there's nobody with gate 29 in that penta, then you have basically a gap where you're not sure if people are going to show up or not. You have a meeting and they don't show up. I've noticed with Signpost, I pretty much never miss a Signpost session because that commitment won't allow me to do that. Now, this isn't a penta situation because even though there are 5 of us, 4 of us, we're online, there's no aura. But particularly in a penta, once my commitment is sort of tapped into by the penta, I kind of have to go. It just makes me go. Like in my individual body graph, I have to have a sacral response to commit. But with the penta, it's almost like once I've had the sacral response to join the penta, it's not like I have a sacral response every time to going. I'm a little bit like, this again. But something about the commitment just makes me show up. And so fundamentals of commitment, the details of commitment, that's just, actually being there. And it's not for any other purpose than just being there. It's not like you have a line 5 there where you're marketing how committed you are. Or a line 6 there, like Now has, where people trust how committed you are. And you're bringing leadership to the commitment and inspiring others to be committed. It's not about that. Liz is just committed. She's just committed and she just shows up. And it's a very big part of what you're bringing to any group is that you just really show up there. That's that first line. So let's see what else we have. 29 line 1. Yeah, Mars, design Mars. Okay, for gate 5, that's also line 1. So bringing the details and the fundamentals of the culture, the sort of necessary prerequisites for culture to form. Like, what are the details of the culture? What are the fundamentals of the culture? That you have fundamental principles for a culture. You have fundamental fixed rhythms and fixed patterns of things you do. Every Friday you have a certain ritual. The first Monday of the month you have a certain thing you do. It's like bringing the fixity to the culture. That's part of the fundamental. If there's no fixed rhythm, you can't build a culture. So part of that building the culture is just, I mean, this is a nice combination. Being committed to maintaining the fixed rhythms, being committed to doing the same thing at the same time every week, and to being in that rhythm. And actually, yeah, you have line 1 on both sides, personality Neptune and design Neptune. So that's, yeah, first lines in the lower pentagates. Very apropos, very important to have those. Now, I will say, anyone you go into business with, you're going to want to make sure, first and foremost, that you have the 214, or that they do, rather. That the people that you're going to business with, they either have the whole channel, or one of them has the 2 and the other has the 14, or things like that, because that is really the single most important channel for the Penta. Like, the Penta just won't even get off the ground if it doesn't have that. That is sort of the backbone of the Penta. That's the... If you look at Neptune's trident or Shiva's trident, it's the handle. And that handle is just so important to have that 14 too. And I grew up in a Penta that didn't have 14. I have gate 2, but neither of my parents have 14. And we never had enough money growing up. So I'll say, whether you're looking at family Penta or BG5 or any of it, if you're missing 14, you're missing the resources. It's interesting because we would think of money being in the ego or something, but 14 is very material. It's also weird because it's not even tribal. It's this individual gate, and yet it has to do with the abundance of the material, the wagon weighed down with riches. Going to the upper pentagates, 731. So 7 also line 1, and then I saw that 31 was also line 1. So you're really bringing all line 1s here. That's pretty rare, actually. You have 5 activations in the Penta, and every single one of them is line 1. So that's kind of interesting to be bringing all the fundamentals, all the details. There is a little bit of a harmony in Penta thing that Ra talks about, where line 1 can support line 4. So in some sense, like, if you have a gap, but if you partnered with somebody that had lines 2 and 3 and 5 and 6, none of you had line 4, because you're bringing so much line 1 and it's harmonic to line 4, you can almost get away with it. He was like, it's still not as good as if you actually had someone with line 4, but if you don't, the line 4 networking can kind of piggyback on the line 1 fundamentals a little bit, because it's the harmonic. Just like talent and potential can sort of piggyback on marketing and reputation. They're sort of related to each other. Hey there, Hanifa. How's it going? We're just doing a little BG5 analysis. So you can see that the harmonics piggyback on each other. Like, if you have strong fundamentals, you can get clients. If you have that strong first line, if you've covered all the bases, you've made sure you have everything you need. That's what I think of when I think of fundamentals. I think of like prerequisites. What are the prerequisites for culture? Have allocated times for the culture to emerge. Have a casual Friday, have a Tuesday, have Taco Tuesday, like, have fixed rhythms that allow culture to differentiate within that. And then once you are doing those fundamentals, naturally, because of its harmony with the 4, you will bring in clients and you will have networking. Through those fixed rhythms, you will have the ability to bring in people from the outside and so on. It's still not ideal. Ideally, you have all of the 6 lines represented. So as long as you have all the 6 lines represented, even just once, you're set. And as long as you have all the 12 gates represented, you're set. You don't even need duplication. Like, it can be kind of unusual. Like, maybe the one way that you network is through culture or something, right? And so you're like, oh yeah, we're networking because we have Taco Tuesdays and our clients love to come in for Taco Tuesdays for some reason, So it's like a weird thing. But nevertheless, as long as you have, I would say first you need to have all 12 gates. If you have all 12 gates, try to have at least one line from each of the harmonies. So if you have lines 1, 2, and 3, those are harmonies for 4, 5, and 6. Or you have lines 1, 3, and 5, then you still have them kind of set. And then if you really want to get the best possible Penta, you just have all the lines. Kind of in that order, like order of criteria. First criteria, have all the gates. If you don't have all the gates, it doesn't matter if you have all the lines. You're going to have a bigger problem, a bigger gap. If you're missing even one of those gates, you're immediately going to have dysfunction. So the first priority for the business team, make sure all 12 gates are filled. The second priority, make sure you have at least one line of each harmony filled. And then the third priority, if you can, make sure you fill all 6 lines in some capacity or the other. But yeah, this is interesting to see, like bringing the fundamentals to the administration, bringing it to the planning, making sure you're very strong on the fundamentals of the future of the business. That's 731, very future oriented. And then bringing fundamentals to the culture and to the commitment. And so what are the fundamentals of the culture? Just making sure that you have the fixed rhythms that the culture can grow within, the containers that it can grow in. And then fundamentals to the commitment is just kind of making sure that people show up. It's very basic stuff. It's like making sure that they're able to commit to it, making sure that the schedule isn't changing all the time that would prevent them from making the commitment or things like that. Just kind of prerequisites. If I ever see first line, I always think prereqs. What's the prerequisite for this being successful? So that's how I would analyze your body graph in terms of what you bring to the business Penta. Well, we have a couple more minutes. If anyone has any comments, if they'd like to look at, you're just joining now, Hanifa, but if you'd like to look at your body graph, or Nancy, what we're doing is a little BG5 analysis of what people bring to
Can
the
I ask
business
if
groups.
you've already mentioned this or not? But just like when you look at a little Penta chart, when it says certain themes are missing, have you already talked about that?
Well, not a ton. I mean, and then we can look at we can look at Nancy's. She said mine too. We'll look at Nancy's in a moment. What we were talking about is gap analysis, and basically the first gaps you look for are when the gates are missing. So you're going to want to look at where the gate gaps are, and I'll just go ahead and paste this graphic.
Do you know what I
in.
mean though? Like when it says these themes are missing, like home or like.
Well, that would be for non-BG5 penta, right? But that is the same basic theory. Maybe we can do that in a future catalyst. So yeah, like when a gate is missing, it causes dysfunction in the penta. So if it's a family penta, that's going to be dysfunction around what those keynotes for the family penta are. Like if you have, let's look at the family penta keynotes just for a second. Yeah, if you're missing, let me just pull up some of the keynotes here. Let's see, Maya Mechanics has it. Just going into Maya Mechanics really quick here. And yeah, it's definitely, oh, that's still the BG5. Now Maya Mechanics is showing the BG5. Let me just find, oh yeah, home, world, things like that, discipline. Like say you're missing gate 31. If it's a family penta, that is missing discipline. So literally, missing 31 is just like nobody gets punished. Nobody's ever disciplined. Nobody has to go to their room. If somebody doesn't do something that they say they're going to do, there's no repercussions from that. In the business penta, that's administration. So when nobody has gate 31, the administration doesn't get done. It's similar to oversight, but oversight is past oriented. Administration is future oriented. So it's basically, when that gate is missing, it's just a gap where you just find a really dysfunctional business where the business is not functioning in that regard. If a business is missing gate 8, they don't have public relations. They have no PR team. There's no public representation of that business. If a family is missing gate 8, we call that demonstration. And that family is going to be a little self-conscious about not showing off what makes that family unique or different. They're not going to really let their freak flag fly. They're going to be really nervous that the other families have certain aesthetics and certain presentations and have certain things that they present to the world, and that this family is going to not have anything to present. So anytime a gate is missing, that's the fundamental dysfunction. And then after that, we were just talking about when lines are missing, and that's basically line gaps. So there's gate gaps and there's line gaps. Here are the keynotes for the line gaps. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Nancy's chart since we don't have a ton of time before Human Design Catalyst tonight. So let's see what I have here. Perfect. All right, so Nancy also has the 5. Wow, we have a lot of 5s here. It's cool to see who shows up. You know, we saw a lot of 29s. We have 3 29s, including me, and then 3 5s. So looking at the 5, this is again the culture. And so for Nancy, she's bringing line 2 to the culture. And so what that's saying is the potential and the talent. So this is like being able to recruit really top talent because they love the culture. Such a cool culture that I'm going to stick around. I'm going to work here because I like the culture here. I don't want to work there even though they're going to pay me more because the culture sucks there. So this is really being able to show off the potential of the company and to recruit talent and to show off the talent of the company through the culture. I mean, this could literally even be like having talent shows. There are some companies where they show off the talents of all of their employees. And like this person is a master juggler and that person is a ventriloquist and this person, you know, and so on. And it's like those companies where they have the talent shows where the actual employees are showing off their many talents and where part of the culture of the company is supporting the talents of the employees. That's something that Nancy brings with her second line there. Looking at gate 14, this is the ever important 14, the capacity of the company, and she brings the ability to network and interface with clients through the capacity of the company. And that's actually twice, both of these line 4 here. Design South Node, Conjunctor, Personality, Saturn. So yeah, it's interesting to think about what does it look like having networking events having to do with the capacity of the company. It could be showing off the wealth of the company. If the company makes a lot of money, they could throw a big event where they just throw around their money. I mean, 14 is the wagon overburdened with riches. It's like they have riches coming out of their ears. They have money bags lying around everywhere. That's a great way to network. It's a great way to attract clients because they just see how much money that company has and how wealthy that company is and what capacity that company has. Doesn't even put a dent in that company to throw a big party like this. Such a tiny part of their budget. And yeah, that is a way to network. That is a way to meet potential clients. It's like usually we would think of the networking as up here, gate 31, gate 8, gate 33. You know, this is where we would usually imagine networking in the throat. Just getting on the phone and talking to people and advertising and public relations and all of that. But you can also network down here. It's an interesting thing, right? To see the fourth line down here where it's not normally as comfortable. We usually see lines 4, 5, and 6 in the upper pentagates and lines 1, 2, and 3 in the lower pentagates. But having double activated line 4 there is a way to reach potential clients through the capacity of the company and through its material wealth. Gate 7, we have line 6, so she's bringing leadership to the planning of the company. This would be a nice harmonic, nice electromagnetic with Now, who has the gate 31 line 6. But yeah, having that gate 7 line 6, I mean, that's a keynote of, sorry, I was just trying to pull up my keynotes. Leadership for planning, right? So it's, let's see what else we have. It's future oriented, it's planning for the future. It's the planning that needs the administration to carry out the planning because the administration is sort of what maintains the plan and keeps the discipline to follow through on the plan. So Now is there to have the trust and the leadership and following through on the plan. Nancy is there to come up with a trusted plan, a plan that people can believe in, a plan that seems like it'll really carry us into the future through its leadership, through its trust. So that line 6 keynote of trust. And then we have gate 8, and that's on the design side here. That's also line 4. Right, obviously the design north node. And so, yeah, having that networking through, I mean, this is kind of where you would naturally expect it, right? Networking in public relations, meeting clients through public relations, having PR that shows what makes this company different. In the normal human body graph, the 1-8 is all about expressing personal difference and your own individuality. Penta, it's about expressing what makes that company not like other companies. We're not like other companies. We do something special that other companies don't do. We have a special contribution to the world that makes us unusual and different. So it's kind of like the we're a little different gate. And this would be where the networking happens, that basically Nancy would be in a good role of being the sort of mascot or face of difference of a company. 8 is really a mascot gate, especially when it comes to pentas. It's sort of the representative of the uniqueness and difference of that company. Now, of course, it's not like human individuality where we really are expressing our unique difference. Penta differentiation is a little more like what makes BMW differentiated from Volvo or differentiated, you know what I mean? It's a little bit, it's not quite the same thing. It's not really like letting the freak flag fly, but it is trying to show off how different they are. So if you look at, I was looking at game developers, and there was a game developer that was like, we're not like other game developers. We really, we do this and this and this. We share our revenue with our customers, our employees. I mean, our employees are co-founders of the company. We don't believe in hourly work, and we also don't believe in crunch deadlines. So we don't keep track of hours, and we blah blah blah. We do this, we do that. They're really like, their whole PR was all about how different they are. And then if it's fourth lines there, it's marketing. Like, everyone tries to show off how different they are, right? Every company that has gate 8 is like, we're not the same as the others. But then if you have line 4 there, that's direct high touch networking. If you had line 5 there, in my example, it's probably more of a line 5 example, because it was just their marketing website. It was like a marketing brochure. But if it were a networking event where they were at a conference or they were hosting a sort of meet and greet, high touch networking event, that would be more of the line 4. And then finally, and we can wrap up after this to have a few minutes before Catalyst, that's gate 13 on the personality side. And that's also line 6, so bringing leadership there as well. Of course, this is the opposition here. So bringing leadership not only in looking to the future and planning for the future, but also the past, and also taking account of what's happened. Trusting that your company is accountable. So bringing a lot of leadership and trust to the accountability of the company. We're good citizens of the earth. We don't pollute the environment. We are accountable for our past actions. We like, as an example, the last day of the Eclipse Festival was canceled, and then the organizers of the Eclipse Festival actually gave partial refunds to all the attendees at the cost of tens of thousands of dollars to the organizers, maybe hundreds of thousands. They didn't have to do that. It wasn't their fault it got canceled. A big storm rolled in, but they held themselves accountable, and then they built trust. The next time they throw an event, I trust them, because I trust if something happens, they'll go out of their way to be accountable, even if they're not expected to. And that was a very sixth line in gate 13 kind of thing. Like, weeks after the festival, I got a refund in the bank, and I was like, wow, that's cool of them. That's big of them. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, well, let's wrap up. If anybody wants to come for Catalyst, I think we're going to look at some more Richard Rudd keynotes, unless anyone has anything else they'd like to cover. I found some keynotes we didn't look at yet for the lines, so I think that would be a nice one. And I may just open up more of a discussion for Catalyst today, maybe discussing the keynotes of the lines more, kind of have it be more open. But yeah, if anyone still has energy after this and would like to join for Catalyst. Oh, I see your message there, Nancy. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's fun looking at the body graph through different lenses. And so, in keeping with that spirit, we'll be back in about 5 minutes on Catalyst for Richard Rudd keynoting. So thank you so much. Yeah, very fun. I love it. Okay, see you all soon. Take care.